Decisions that last. Home buying step 4, fixing underwriting issues. If you've made it this far in the home buying process, there's something important you need to understand. The first answer from a lender or underwriter is not always yes, and just as importantly, it's not always no. Most of the time, the answer is simply not yet. Step 4 of my home buying series is about fixing underwriting issues because this is where many buyers get confused, frustrated, or discouraged, even though nothing has actually gone wrong. Underwriting questions are not a rejection, they're a request for clarity. If your lender asks for more information, documentation, or explanation, it means something on paper doesn't fully make sense yet. That's normal, and in most cases, it's fixable. This is also where the lender you chose in step 3 really matters. A good lender explains what the issue is, why it matters, and what needs to happen next. A bad one simply says no without any context. On paper, your file is just numbers, dates, and documents. But underwriting isn't just checking boxes. They're evaluating whether the story behind those numbers actually makes sense. When I worked at USDA, I saw this all the time. One applicant looked risky on paper because he had changed jobs frequently. His employment appeared unstable. But once someone took the time to ask questions, a clearer picture emerged. He is a young auto mechanic with a growing family. He moved from shop to shop to get raises and better benefits. When the right opportunity came along, he stayed. And more importantly, each of his former employers said he was a great employee and they would be happy to have him back. So, what looked like job hopping was actually career progression. And context mattered. Once it was explained, the concern disappeared. That's what underwriting is trying to do, determine whether the story makes sense. One of the biggest ways underwriting gets delayed is missing or incomplete documentation. If the lender asks you for 4 weeks of pay stubs, they need 4 weeks, not 3.5. If they ask for a specific statement, they need that statement, not something close enough. Underwriters don't ask for documents out of curiosity. They ask because something must be verified. Missing paperwork slows the process down and can stop a file entirely. This is also why sending extra documents can hurt instead of help. If you send more than what's required, the lender is required to review it. That review can raise new questions that wouldn't have existed otherwise. The safest approach is simple. Give the lender exactly what they asked for, no more, no less. When underwriters look at income, they're asking two questions. Is this income likely to continue? And is it reasonably predictable? Seasonal work, second jobs, or variable hours do not automatically disqualify you, but they do require explanation. For example, I worked with a high school teacher who spent summers working for the highway department so he could collect Social Security in addition to teacher retirement. That made perfect sense, but on paper, without explanation, it looked inconsistent. Clear explanations help underwriting evaluate stability, and often those explanations are what resolve the issue. Now, assets are another common problem. Many buyers focus on what they owe and forget to list what they own, but lenders separate assets and liabilities for a reason. If your car is worth $10,000 and you owe $7,000, the car is still a $10,000 asset. The loan is a separate liability. If you owe more than the car is worth, the lender generally treats the asset as having zero value, not negative value, because negative equity doesn't improve your approval picture. The goal is simply accuracy and completeness. Tax returns are also trouble for a lot of buyers, mostly because people file and then they forget where their return went. If underwriting asks for older returns or supporting documents and you don't have copies, you can usually retrieve what you need directly from irs.gov, including return transcripts and wage and income transcripts. Bank statements are similar. If you receive income through PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or a debit card, those accounts still generate statements and underwriting needs them. Underwriters have to be able to track where the money comes from and how it flows over time. If the source cannot be documented, the lender cannot count it, even if the money is real and in your account. Sometimes, though, the issue isn't paperwork. Unfortunately, it's credit. And most loan programs have minimum score requirements, but your credit score also affects interest rates, insurance costs, and approval conditions. If your payment history on debts that appear in your debt to income ratio are the ones that matter the most. Being late on a car payment or student loan affects your file far more than informal obligations that don't report to credit. Other major factors include high balances relative to limits, lack of credit mix, or no credit history at all. But here's the hard truth. Fixing documents can be fast. Fixing credit is never fast. There are no shortcuts, no quick fixes, and no credit repair company can remove accurate information. Owning your negative credit history honestly and explaining what caused it is much more effective than disputing everything and hoping it goes away. And sometimes the honest answer really is not now. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, missing payments, and constantly juggling bills, you may not be ready to own a home yet. That's not failure, it's information. And this is where the budget we built in step 2 matters. If the numbers don't work, something has to change. Income, spending, debt, or timing. Underwriting exists to protect you from stepping into a situation you can't maintain as much as it exists to protect the bank. Your goal is not just to buy a home, it's to keep it. Sometimes the smartest move is to pause, prepare, and come back stronger. If underwriting issues are fixable, this step helps you understand how to fix them calmly and methodically. And if the answer truly is not right now, then the next step is preparation, not forcing a loan that will become a problem later. And that generally means going back to steps 1 and 2. Step 2 helps you build a budget you can actually live with and one that encourages saving. And step 1 helps you understand your credit. Realistically, you need your budget in order to fix your credit. And yes, I've seen people come back a year or two later ready to buy. If the issue's credit, it is never a quick fix. If it's cash flow, your budget helps you understand where your money's going, and then you can decide what needs to be trimmed or whether the answer really is wait until your income raises. And next, we move on to step 5, choosing a realtor, where we'll talk about representation, fiduciary duty, and why who you hire matters just as much as what you buy. See you next time.